Hey, Izzy.
Hey,
Um, what password did Forrest Gump use for his digital items?
one Forest one.
How dare you?
Was that right?
I'm gonna have to. Okay, all right. Izzy, you're too smart for these.
I can't believe I got that. I
Um,
thought it was wrong.
all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Market Like It's Hot with the incredible Izzy and myself, who just appears and I do what Izzy tells me to. Izzy, why don't you tell us what today's topic is?
Today's topic involves mobile websites and why aren't people updating their mobile websites? Because just because your website looks great on your laptop doesn't mean it's going to look great on your phone. So I titled it, "Your website is ugly on mobile, sorry."
Izzy is very honest. I'm usually like, oh, I can see the effort that you put into your website, and it just needs some changes in how it is laid out, the colors, and maybe the fonts. And Izzy's like, nope, it's ugly.
For a pessimist, I'm pretty optimistic.
All right. So Izzy, we're coming in telling people that their mobile site might be ugly. And it is the year 2025, right? Right. And I would say the number one thing is if it looks like a 13-year-old created it on MySpace, that's like the biggest marker of your website needs some help. Would you say so?
Yes, or if I get on a website and I feel like if I clicked on it and it's going to give me a virus.
Yes. Yeah.
It might not give me the virus, but if it looks like it will, I will click off immediately. So,
Yeah. With blurry images or images that look like very awkward stock
yep.
images. Yeah.
And like the fonts are all over the place and stuff's overlapping,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
especially on
That's not
mobile.
even, yeah. I mean, I was going to say, it's not even just mobile. That's like everywhere. Or I
Yeah,
wouldn't buy anything or enter a credit card number or anything if it's creepy looking.
definitely.
All right. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about mobile responsiveness as well and why it matters, what's really breaking your website, and the easiest ways to fix it without having to hire a developer. Maybe if you're in really deep doo-doo, you might have to hire a developer, but you might be able to fix these things yourself, or at least stop yourself from crying in the middle of the night while you scroll through your competitor's website and ponder your life choices. But that could just be me. All right. So I'll start with bullet point number one. The wake-up call. Mobile matters more than ever. Izzy, why?
Mhm.
Why should we even care?
Well, if we think about it, especially with if you're running different like marketing things, whether that's through social or just people are walking around and you have an ad up somewhere, that's where people are probably going to Google you, is right there and then, and that's typically happens on the phone. So a bunch of your web traffic should be coming from mobile because that's where people typically are and are trying to get that information almost immediately from a mobile site. So that's where I stand, but I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I will say it depends on your analytics and the type of business that you have as to whether desktop will be number one or two. But for myself, we're service-based. We do a lot of business with service-based entrepreneurs. And if I meet you at a networking event, in order for me not to forget to stalk you online, I will likely look up your website and leave it on my tabs and on my phone. And if the site doesn't load fast enough, or if it's kind of like scary or fugly, I probably will not go back to it.
Yeah, same. And I mean, I think I've said this before, but it's kind of like the TikTok generation now where we need if it doesn't appeal to us in the first 5 seconds, then it's probably not going to turn into anything. So if your mobile website's taking more than 5 seconds to load, gets a little frustrating for some people, and then it's
Yep.
just never going to be looked at again. So, making sure everything's updated on the site, making sure your not refresh rate, but what is that word? Why am I blanking? Is it refresh rate?
The speed at
The
load.
speed of the website. Make sure the speed of the website is not, it's like, and also look at the like size of your images and different things that could be like resulting in that speed to be lowered, because like that is one of the most important things, especially for mobile. And then also it's like if you build your website for desktop and then you just decide to be like, oh yeah, it has the mobile version too, you need to adapt to what a mobile version of your website will look like on your phone, or else some things are going to be overlapped and different things like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I will say I am notorious for on TikTok. Like if I'll even say it out loud if I'm scrolling through and somebody takes too long to tell me whatever it is, what chisme or gossip it is that they're telling me, I'll just scroll through and I'll literally say took too long as I'm scrolling through TikTok. Um, so yes, I will say speed is a big factor. At least the text, I will say some images, hopefully your images don't take too long, but there should be something loading first on your website to keep the user on the site, and it should also not look scammy.
yep,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
What other red flags do you see on mobile websites, Yasmin?
You had to say my name. Is there somebody else here?
The ghost.
I mean, with all my personalities, probably. Um, just my emotional life roller coaster.
My alter ego is in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
I don't have one.
somewhat creepy. Um, or empowering. It is an empowering alter ego. So, red flags that your site sucks on mobile. I would say the fonts are so tiny that they require a microscope. This goes for desktop too. I was literally just on another, and I'm not going to call them out, but I was on another website today finding out more information about the business. It's a beautiful website, but even on desktop, the fonts are really small. Is it aesthetically pleasing? Yes. Is it easy to read for older generations? Probably not. I am also dealing with like eye issues where my eyes are like slightly dry, but also, I don't know, painful. And I'm tired. So me going like also, if you are listening to this, you can't see me squinting, but if you can envision me squinting, that's not good. So making sure that your font sizes are the appropriate size. And then especially on mobile, you don't want people pinching and trying to zoom to read the information. Buttons, I've seen buttons that are too small or that are too close together or hyperlinks. So within the text, if you have links, but you're trying to, even on TikTok, man, sometimes I'm clicking and my finger's just too fat. Like my finger
I feel that.
is not happening. And so if that's happening on the website, that's even worse because that's like your business. It's not even something that you can't control on TikTok.
I think the
Um,
most humbling thing for me the other day was I was scrolling on my iPad like this, watching TikTok, and then I like it fell on my face and hit my face and it hurt. But then when I picked my iPad up, it had me on TikTok Shop and added something to the cart.
you know, was it cool? Was it something you wanted?
It was like a Shadow the Hedgehog t-shirt.
No, maybe
It's cool to me.
somebody out there likes it. That's why I have a shop. It's not me. It's
Yeah.
things that fall on my face and oops, they get added to cart and stuff. Like I can't control that.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
also like filled out my credit card information. That was
I know,
crazy.
right? It's so weird.
Must have been my eyelashes just like really batting at the screen, typing in the card info.
Yep. I accidentally tripped and fell and slid my card and like, yeah, oh my God. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I
that
like
happens
to
the
know that
best
this
of
doesn't
us.
happen to just me. Please, wherever you're listening to this, please comment or review. Give us 5 stars if this also happens to you and you accidentally buy things on TikTok or Amazon and just like it's an accident. Like you don't mean to.
Mm-mm.
All right, so back to red flags. Pages are taking 10 years to load. It's this is also a desktop thing that I have, but mobile especially, and e-com. If you are selling something, if people are likely to be on mobile to view your services or whatnot, it really should load quickly. And again, there's ways that you can have, for example, the text load first. There's some things that you can do within the site, but it should load faster. I would say that some platforms can handle this for you, but you should still, best practices would be to optimize the images before you upload them, both size, the name of the file, all that stuff. Pop-ups covering everything like a bad eyelash extension.
That was me being sassy.
I hate certain pop-ups on mobile because you can't get rid of them. Sometimes they're ads, but sometimes it's like your subscription, right? Subscribe to my newsletter. So number one, your pop-ups should not be coming up on the site immediately when I land on your site. It should at least wait a few seconds. It should be on a scroll feature where if I scroll 30% of the page, then it'll pop up. And it shouldn't be something like subscribe to our newsletter, because that's not what I want. I don't want any more junk mail. And it should be like the little exit for the pop-up should be easy to find. It's not something that should fill up like the whole entire mobile phone screen, and then I can't even find how to get out of it.
Yeah,
I will
if you
leave
don't
the site.
X visible, you're my arch enemy, and I will click off your website.
Yeah, horrible. Click to call links that don't actually call. I think some people forget that you can actually hyperlink, for example, emails and phone numbers on a site, and then people can actually call you, especially if you offer services like, I don't know, home service, like a plumber, right? Like you would want your information to be so easy that if they're having an emergency, they can just quickly call you, or send you an email. And then image galleries that scroll like a cursed slideshow. I have a love-hate with galleries. I know some of our clients have a lot of images that they'd like to show, especially furniture. We had a client that was a high-end furniture creator, and they have a lot of images, and a lot of them are beautiful. Now, do you need all of those images? Will all of the users go through every single gallery and look at 20 different images? Should you really just pick the best one that's like going to really encapsulate what the entire project was about? Image galleries might also end up slowing down the page depending on how many you have and how many images each gallery has. Izzy, do you have any thoughts on the image galleries?
I think they're good in some cases, like what you were saying with like our previous client. I think it's for those types of things when people are spending like a lot of money to get those things done. I would always say like include more pictures so they have a better understanding of like what they're going to potentially buy or have like built. Because I'm just thinking from like, not that I'm buying luxury anything, but like from my standpoint, if I'm going to spend a lot of money on something, I want to see like what it looks like in every part of it to make sure everything looks good. So
yeah. And it depends on what you're selling. So for example, you might have 20 projects where each project could have 100 images in a gallery, but which of those projects are really going to convince people? Is it like the tiny side table, or is it like a beautiful huge conference room table where you even have images? I think our client had images of them literally lifting it up to the second floor from the outside and bringing it in, right? So pick and choose, and those could be called case studies or whatever you want to call them, portfolio pieces, but those could have a bunch of images, and then the other ones could just be sprinkled throughout the site.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next, what should a good mobile website actually look like? Like what does that look like to us?
Like your face.
Thanks.
Literally. Guys, listen, the true secret to conversion is having our faces right up front and center on the homepage. Just right there, maybe a GIF.
It's me just staring like this. Right when you click on the website.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how you get information.
yeah. That's what the
Mhm.
pop-up should be.
Mhm.
So we talked about fonts. I would say 16 and up. It depends on the font size too. So some fonts that you upload to your site, it might be, you might need it to be 20 pixels. Some, honestly, we don't go by pixels, we go by Ms. But in the real human world that is not about website design, I would say 16 pixels minimum. Again, depends on the font family. If you're using cursive, it's going to be really hard to use or to read on mobile, and it depends on how you are using it. So it can get, and it depends on the handwritten or cursive font, because it could be easy to read, or it could be the most horrible thing where people will not understand what it is that the headline is saying. Sticky bar navs with clear call to actions. Yes, and on mobile, making sure, and it depends on the length of your site and depends on a couple of different things, but having a sticky navigation bar, and the navigation bar is basically where you have, typically like about, services, contact us, and making it sticky means that as you're scrolling, it stays at the top of the page or the bottom, depends on what your design preference is. And then having them be clear and understandable. So a lot of our clients want to be on brand or cool, and I don't know, they come up with things like, instead of contact, right, which would be the contact page, they might say something like holla at us, which is great. I think it's funny and I understand it, but depending on your audience, they might not get the joke. They might not understand that that's leading to the contact page or the contact form. Or even like having extra words. So for example, contact us. You don't need the us. Obviously, you're gonna be contacted. Things like about, it could just be about instead of about us, right? You
Mhm.
can remove some of those extra words. Fast load time, just aim for under 3 seconds. You can use tools. There's a Google tool that will check the speed of your site and divide it by mobile and desktop. And then there's one called Pingdom that we sometimes use to just check in, and it'll tell you if it's images, if it's the code. Sometimes it's the platform, like if it's Squarespace, WordPress, and you can't really do too much about it. There's certain things that you can change and there's others that you can't, but it'll tell you where those issues lie.
Mhm.
Tap friendly buttons and form fields. Think of your fingers or people's fingers like like the lower half of my body. And if the lower half of my body was going to sit in a chair, you want it to be, big enough. So just make sure that your buttons, anywhere where there's links, just make sure that it's big enough for somebody to be able to click on it. And then mobile specific padding or margins that don't crowd or stretch. It depends on the style of the design. Izzy,
Sorry.
Izzy, stop visualizing things. um, so, so Izzy, can you tell me more about the mobile specific padding or margins?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, especially when so I make our monthly email every month, but anytime that I'm like doing a layout for that, making sure that everything's the same throughout. So that's more of what I was talking about, like making sure the margins are the same so everything looks like um what's the word I want to use? Not equal, but like laid out. I'm just gonna say laid out intentionally, or else
Yeah,
it will just be like, oh, here's a huge chunk of like random like space, and then
yeah.
down below it might all be smushed. So it just kind of keeps it like in a uniform throughout.
Yeah, and I would say look through, we call it white space, or yeah, you can call it margins, padding, blank space, and think of it as the space well, the biggest one is a space on either side of your content on the website. Now, there's certain platforms that won't let you stretch the content at all, and that's very annoying. But if you can stretch it, it should still be about equal. And you should still be able to have full width color or a background image or something like that. But the content itself always comes in a grid, and the spacing on either side of that grid should be about equal, depending on the
Mhm.
design. Um, so think of that same way for your mobile site, and then think of each item on your site, each element on the site. So the buttons, the different sections and the spacing between each section, because sometimes when it's responsive, or when you're letting, let's say Squarespace, when you're letting Squarespace make that decision for you, sometimes it'll squeeze things all the way towards the top, like Izzy said, towards the bottom, and things will be overlapped, or they won't be overlapped, but they're going to be stacked up very awkwardly. So you want to be able to double check those.
Yep.
So tools and tests to audit your site. Izzy,
Mm-hmm.
how do we test? How do we audit everything?
Well, there's the Google mobile friendly test.
What?
Yeah. They give you like a percentage, I'm pretty sure.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's nice. Or you can just like go online and look at it.
Yes.
Not to be that person, but like just Google your own website on your phone and see what it comes up like. Like write down all the mistakes that you see, because I guarantee there's some kind of mistake on there. Whether it's, oh, this when it pops out is covering like so much text now, or this picture somehow got moved up the page a little bit. Now there's this like random empty space underneath that's like way too big to the point I'm like scrolling and it's still white space. Or how easy is it to click tab from tab, because sometimes those get really small on mobile, so then fat fingers can't hit them, and different things like that. And then we use SEMrush for, I can look at how do a speed test for websites through SEMrush. I found one called PageSpeed Insights too, where you can run that and check how fast your website's loading. Yep, wrote it down myself. View it on your phone, literally just look. Yep, just look. And then also if you're able to like get an Android view versus an iPhone view, because Safari and Chrome or whatever, they use Edge, I think, now. Like those two browsers are very different, so it's kind of interesting how they both load differently too. Yeah, I've also asked people before, just like take a look at it and give me feedback. So
Mhm. There's I don't know if this is depending on your tech savviness, dear listener. You can, on Chrome, you can right click on your website, anywhere on the website, and go to, in a little drop down that appears, there's an inspect. And then from there, I believe, and it depends on how it's laid out, but on the left side, there should be like a little responsiveness button that you click on. And when you click on it, it actually will show you what it looks like in different screen sizes or different types of phones. So it'll try to mimic that. It's not foolproof, but it'll try to mimic what it looks like on different screen sizes, so that you don't have to actually like be moving your browser screen or getting your tablet out or your phone. So sometimes that helps.
yep. So what are some other quick little fixes that they can make that aren't super tech heavy?
They could hire us. I mean,
Yeah, that's so true.
yeah, I don't. um, they could use a responsive theme or template, or platform. So for example, we like to use Avada for WordPress, and it does an okay job at of trying to lay things out on mobile. You'll always have to go in there and tweak things, but from all of the other ones, and again, I'm going to say they're all themes, all platforms have bloat, but from all of the other ones, it feels like that one gives you the most control over the way things look. But also, if you don't want that much control, it will try to reorganize things for you. With Squarespace, I think I've been told by clients that that is the easiest one for them to understand how it works. And they do have more of a drag and drop feature, and then you can switch to mobile and edit things there. You could just resize your images and compress them. Just for example, let's say you did a brand photo shoot, you got, 100 images, and you downloaded the high resolution version of those, which is great for print, but you really don't need it to be, I don't know, 4 or 5,000 pixels wide. For mobile, you can just reduce that down. I would say no more than 2,500 pixels wide. And there are optimizers. One of the ones that I use is Image Optim, and you run the file through that and it reduces some of that bloat. And then, and just for SEO purposes, just rename the image file and do all that stuff. But that should help you get images down, and then you can upload them to the site. And that works a lot better than plugins. I feel like a lot of people on WordPress, they'll just install a plugin that's supposed to reduce down the size, but then the plugin adds bloat to your website as well. So why don't you just like resize the image file before uploading it? And then remove anything that autoplays or flashes. Choose your details or your movement on the site. Choose it wisely. Everyone wants to have a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of fanciness on their site, but choose which ones you want to have on your site and which ones will make the biggest impact, so that it's not just a bunch of flashy things and it slows down your site. Add scroll cues. So especially for those above the fold only skimmers. So if above the fold, what that means is everything that the page what loads first on the page without scrolling, that's that bottom portion, that's the fold. So back in print days, print design, it would be like the fold of a newspaper, right? So everything important had to be above the fold. Think of that same way for all of your pages on the site, and then try to give the user a little peek of what's below. So whether that is through the design elements, the division of the sections, maybe there's a little arrow, in some way, shape, or form, give them a peek or a taste of what's below to get them to scroll a little bit. And then I always forget this one, but test your forms, like your contact forms. Did they work? Do they work on all the devices? Do they look good in landscape mode? If you installed, for example, the MailChimp code snippet on your website, did you optimize it so it looks like it's part of the site and not just looks like you literally copied and pasted some script code? And does it actually get people to subscribe?
Yep.
We are so good. We are changing lives here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically doctors.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like, who needs them anyway?
They've been lying to me.
Oh, okay. Well, they've been telling me the truth, I guess. I don't know. Hence why I am the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been telling me the truth. I just can't afford the fix, right? Like, so next episode, we're gonna have to do a quick fixes for Yasmin's issues. So Izzy, how the heck do we wrap this up?
I don't even know after that last comment. Yeah. Tune in next week. Download your free marketing worksheet on our website. Follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, all in that order. And tune in to next week's episode.
All right. Well, that's the perfect way of ending this. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Welcome everybody to. Don't laugh.
Sorry.
You're gonna make me laugh, and then I'll just be all like weird faced. Okay. I also have a meat bag in case I get nauseous. So, like,
What is a meat bag?
Well, I finished one. I opened both of them, like beef jerky. They're snack
Oh,
packs, and then I opened two of them, and then I ate one 10 minutes ago, and I'm like, oh well, they were supposed to last through our podcast, but maybe we can get a Red Bull and a meat bag endorsement. Okay. We are the people of Rebel Marketing.
yeah.
Yeah. And then this is what happens when you lower your caffeine level. So warning to all.